Donald Trump and his congressional allies are now targeting former Special Counsel Jack Smith, but be careful what you wish for. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida LawMan here on Legal AF. We're to meet at the intersection of law and politics, and I'm joined today by Kelly Hyman. You've seen her as one of our newest, best members of Legal AF. Kelly, great to be with you, and if you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit that subscribe button. I think it's right here. Let's keep the momentum going. Kelly, what do you think about Jack Smith, the guy who was quiet and just walked around outside the courthouse where he carried a thermos in one hand, a Subway sandwich in the neck, didn't talk to cameras. And I guess Trump and his congressional allies have confused that with reticence, timidity, maybe a little bit of shyness. I think they're about to poke the bear. What do you think, Kelly?
I want him to testify, and I want to hear what he has to say. I think it serves the public to know exactly what happened, the work that he did, get the inside story of what transpired. I'm waiting for this one and hope the American people have the opportunity to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, because he's sitting on a lot of damaging information. I mean, why would, if you're Trump or congressional allies, why would you try to give a podium and an open mic to a guy who knows where bodies are buried, metaphorically speaking? And perhaps it's because the congressional allies are used to people who aren't able to fight back. Like James Comey, Letitia James, they're criminal defendants now. They're told to be careful what you say, and I think their cases are going to get dismissed because of vindictive prosecution. But Jack Smith is different. Right now, there is no potential crime, and even if they make one up, they're trying to subpoena him before Congress. So you're giving a guy who has not been allowed to really speak his mind or to reveal all, because he knows a lot, an open mic, a podium before Congress, and maybe a congressional hearing that's in public, because right now members of Congress want him to testify behind closed doors, and he's saying, I want to do it in front of the cameras.
The American people have a right to know. I mean, we all believe in transparency. We all believe in accountability. We all believe that knowledge is power. So the fact that he wants to do it, why not give him the opportunity to do it, and people to, for lack of a better word, cross-examine him, ask him questions, but really know exactly what happened so the American people can make up their own determination on what they think about what happened and if Trump, in fact, did something right or wrong.
Yeah, well, here we know that he did some stuff that's wrong. That's why he was charged with crimes. And although the special counsel report on January 6th on that criminal case has been made public already, the special report, when it comes to the Mar-a-Lago documents, has not been made public. And that's because Judge Cannon, appointed by Donald Trump, has refused to release the report. She has put a hold on it. And her reasoning was that it would jeopardize the right to a fair trial of Trump's two co-defendants. So even after Trump's case was dismissed, the cases against Walt Nada and Dalla Vera, two of the workers at Mar-a-Lago, that was ongoing. So Judge Cannon reasoned that it would jeopardize their right to a fair trial if the special counsel report would be made public. But those cases against those co-defendants have all been dismissed. DOJ's dismissed them. So what's the reason for Judge Cannon to refuse to release the report? There is no reason. So she's got to release the report. She's been sitting on it for months and months. And the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, as you probably saw just recently, they came out and said, this is an undue delay. You are now commanded to make a decision, Judge Cannon, within 60 days. Okay, typical judiciary where we got to move. You get another 2 months to make a decision as to whether this should be released. Oh, my gosh. So that's where we are right now. So that's the one thing perhaps that could keep Jack Smith from spilling all the beans, because when it comes to the documents case, he may be limited on what he can say publicly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But I think it goes back to the public's right to know, and hopefully that people will be able to see that before 60 days and really know exactly what happened, because knowledge is power. And so you're right that maybe if Jack Smith does testify, there's certain limitations. So there's going to be certain limitations where he can't talk about certain things. But I hope that he testifies, because I believe that transparency is key and people really need to know so they can make an informed decision.
Well, we can get information that's already out in the public that Jack Smith can reiterate in his own testimony, like on January 6th. He can talk all he wants about that. And that's something that the public saw with their own eyes. When it comes to the documents case, there are certain things he can talk about that just because it's also in the report doesn't mean that everything is off limits. There's certain things that were in the four corners of the affidavit, and I think you can be a little creative on how you can talk about it. Now, the heart of the real secret stuff that's in the report, he's got to be very careful about mentioning. But there is some stuff that he can say that may have been out there somewhere in the atmosphere, but he can use his own voice to make sure people hear it again and to provide a little color for it. So even if Judge Cannon does not rule in time, or even if she rules against releasing the report, which would be ridiculous, but we've seen this before, I still think that that Jack Smith can do some stuff that would hurt Trump, which brings me back to the question of why would congressional leaders give him that open mic? I guess they're so obsequious to Donald Trump that they're just going to lead him down the path of stepping on a rake. I mean, Jack Smith may be quiet and may be, a prosecutor's prosecutor, but he's like that quiet kid at school who then starts throwing haymakers when the bully comes demanding his lunch money. That's Jack Smith. You don't want any part of him.
Do you think he's going to testify?
Well, yeah. Right now, they're asking him to, and he's saying, I will, but I want to do it in public, not behind closed doors. So now Jim Jordan is apparently going to send him a subpoena to require him to testify behind closed doors, because Congress gets to decide, if you issue the subpoena, how the testimony will go. But here's the thing. Here's the wild card. Apparently, the Senate wants to give him a microphone in public, because I think the senators want that stage where they get to grandstand for the folks at home on both sides of the aisle to ask certain questions and get a national TV audience. They love that stuff. So I think they may do what Jack Smith wants them to do. And if they do that, then he's going to the Senate and testifying before he has to go to Jim Jordan or James Comer's committee and do stuff behind closed doors. You know why they want him to testify behind closed doors, of course, in the House, right, Kelly?
You can create a spin. No one knows exactly what goes on behind the closed doors. So there can be a different kind of spin of how things transpired or what happened. So, and then no one really knows. And then you hear tidbits about what someone said, but then you get out as kind of, it goes to one of my favorite movies. It's Wag the Dog, and it's all about creating spin. And so you can go out in front of the public and create your own spin of what really happened, because people won't be able to see it. It'll be behind closed doors. That's why I think we should open the doors and people can see, so they can make their own determination on what they think.
Yeah, but if you talk about January 6th or Mar-a-Lago documents, that's an L for Donald Trump. Trump doesn't want to be talking about that. He wants to be talking about the southern border and was it Tren de Aguas? I know I butchered the name. The gang in El Salvador. He wants to talk about that kind of stuff. He doesn't want to talk about this stuff. He wants to talk about how he's deporting these gang members to El Salvador. So this whole thing, I think, is going to be really bad for the president, because it gets off his narrative. He also doesn't want to talk about tariffs, quite frankly. That's a loser for him. He doesn't want to talk about inflation. That's a loser for him. He may want to talk about crime. What is that?
Epstein?
Oh my gosh, how did I forget about that? That's our next video for another time. Yeah. Epstein and Jack Smith. That's not a good month for Donald Trump if that's what's coming down the pike.
Yes, that's very true. But, the counter argument is that maybe that Trump's thinking that he can get on the on the front of it and create his own spin, especially if it's behind closed doors, or that there's something out there that Jack Smith did wrong so that he can be further investigated and potentially be charged for something. So maybe that's what his train of thought is. Who knows?
Yes, yes.
Trial bet.
And before we conclude, I want to do a fact check. It is Tren de Aragua. So I mispronounced the name. And also, although there are members of the gang allegedly in the El Salvador jail system, which is controversial as it is, it's a Venezuelan gang, not an El Salvadoran gang. So that's just some fact check in real time. That's what you get here on Legal AF. Kelly, you get the final word before we leave.
Let the people hear what Jack Smith has to say so they can make an informed decision.
He wants it. And I don't think that Trump and his allies countered on Jack Smith saying, yeah, I will call your bluff. I will take that offer and I want to do it in front of everyone. And I've got binders with lots of names and details that I want to expose to the world. So we'll keep watching this here on Legal AF. I'm Dave Aronberg. That's Kelly Hyman. Thank you for joining us. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, leave a comment below. Check me out also on Substack, Dave Aronberg. Kelly, you want to plug anything?
Just watch more of our videos.
Okay, fair enough. We'll see you next time.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.